The men who receive no respect have one thing in common. They never defined what they will not accept. Not what they want, not what they deserve, what they will not accept. Ask most men over 40 what they want out of life, and you'll get an answer. A vague one. More money, more respect, more time. Ask them what they will absolutely not tolerate, and watch what happens. Silence. A shrug. I don't know, I guess it depends. That hesitation is the entire problem. And Epictetus saw it 2,000 years ago. Epictetus built his entire philosophy on exactly that line. What is and is not yours to control. And here's what makes it land differently. Epictetus wasn't born free. He was born a slave in the Roman Empire. His body was, for years, not his own to command, but his mind, he insisted, always was. And from that one distinction, he built a complete system for living with dignity regardless of circumstance. If a man with almost nothing could draw a line around what was his, what exactly is stopping you? In the next 12 minutes, you will have 4 specific boundaries, each one with an exact way to implement it, and each one changes how every person in your life treats you, not because you demand it, because you stop negotiating it. Boundary 1. The time boundary. Time is the only resource you cannot earn back. You can rebuild savings. You can repair a relationship. You can recover your health, partially, with effort. You cannot get back an afternoon. And yet, most men over 40 give it away by default. A coworker asks for just 5 minutes, and it becomes 40. A relative calls with a problem that isn't urgent, and somehow it becomes your evening. Why does this happen over and over? Not because you want to say yes. Because saying no feels like conflict. And most men have been trained since childhood to avoid conflict at almost any cost. Here is what that training actually costs you. By the time a man reaches his mid-40s, he has said yes to thousands of requests he never wanted to say yes to. Each one felt small. The total is not small. The total is years. The time boundary is 1 sentence. I don't have time for that right now. No explanation, no apology, no justification. Why no explanation? Because the moment you explain, you've opened a negotiation. I can't. I'm busy with the kids' invites. Oh, it'll just take a minute. Surely you can spare that. A boundary with a reason attached is not a boundary. It's an opening offer. You do not owe anyone your hours just because they asked for them. Here's how you start. Tonight or tomorrow, the next time someone asks for your time on something you don't want to give it to. Say the sentence. Just the sentence. Resist the urge to soften it with a reason. It will feel strange, possibly even rude in your own head. It is not rude. It is the first time in a long time you've told the truth about your own time. Epictetus called this the first and most basic act of self-governance. Before you can govern anything else in your life, you have to govern the 24 hours you're given each day. Boundary 2 is the one most men resist hardest, because it requires saying no to people they love. Not strangers, not coworkers, the people closest to them. Boundary 2. The energy boundary. Who gets your full attention? Not your time. Your time, you can be physically present and mentally absent. Every man has sat at a dinner table nodding while thinking about something else entirely. So who actually gets your full attention? For most men over 40, the answer is whoever demands it loudest in that moment. The phone buzzes, and your attention snaps to it. A colleague raises their voice in a meeting, and suddenly they have the floor and your full focus. A family member escalates and gets everything you have left. The loudest voice is not always the one that deserves it. And meanwhile, the people who don't escalate, who don't demand, who simply wait, they get whatever's left. Often that's your own children. Often that's yourself. A man who gives his full presence to every demand has none left for what actually matters. This is not a time management problem. It's an attention allocation problem. And almost no one is taught to manage it deliberately. The energy boundary means deciding in advance who earns your full presence, not in the moment when emotions are high and the loudest voice wins by default. In advance, calmly, before the moment arrives. Here's a practical version. Name 2 or 3 people in your life who get your full presence. Always. No exceptions. For most men, that's a spouse. Children, maybe one parent. Everyone else gets partial presence. And that's not a punishment. It's arithmetic. You only have so much to give. This is not coldness. This is conservation. A fire that burns for everyone equally burns out by midnight. A fire that's protected and fed deliberately can burn for years. Boundary 3 is the one that changes your family dynamic immediately. Faster than the first 2 combined. Boundary 3, the speech boundary. This is the boundary of what you will no longer explain or justify. Think for a moment about how often you explain yourself in a single day. Why you're late. Why you made that choice. Why you said no to something earlier. Why you're tired. Why you didn't call back. Why? Now ask yourself a harder question. Who are you explaining it to? For some of those, the answer is someone who genuinely needed to know. A spouse, a business partner, someone with a legitimate stake. But for most of those moments, if you're honest, the answer is someone who had already decided before you opened your mouth. What they think of you was settled long before this conversation. Stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided what they think of you. No argument, no justification, just silence. This will feel almost impossible at first, because explaining yourself has become a reflex. It feels like politeness, like respect. But ask yourself honestly, has explaining yourself to that particular person ever once changed their opinion of you? For most men, the honest answer is no. Not once. Not in years. Epictetus called this the beginning of dignity. Every time you explain yourself to someone who has already judged you, you hand them your dignity and ask them politely to consider giving it back. They almost never do. Here's what silence actually communicates in that moment. Not arrogance, not coldness. It communicates this: your opinion of my choice is not something I need to manage. That single internal sentence changes a family dynamic faster than anything else in this entire video. Chapter 4 is the deepest boundary. And, strangely, the shortest to implement. Boundary 4. The identity boundary. Who do you allow to define you? Most men outsource this without ever noticing they've done it. Their job title defines them. Lose the job and something in them collapses. Their relationship status defines them. A divorce doesn't just end a marriage, it ends who they thought they were. A comment from a parent decades ago: you'll never amount to much, still somehow running in the background, still being argued with, still being proven wrong. That comment is still running the show, decades later. The identity boundary is simple to state. You decide who you are. not them. Simple to say. Almost impossible to live without practice. Marcus Aurelius wrote this to himself every morning, not once. Every single morning. For years. Not as a hope, not as something he'd already mastered, as a fact he had to keep choosing. Over and over, because the world kept offering him other definitions. He ran the most powerful empire on earth, and he still had to sit down every morning and remind himself who he was before the world told him otherwise. If the most powerful man in the ancient world needed a daily practice to hold on to his own identity, what makes you think you don't? Here is the practice. Every morning before you check your phone, before the world starts talking, write one sentence. Something like, I am a man who, not what I do for a living, not what anyone called me, what you choose. So 4 boundaries: time, energy, speech, identity. Tonight, pick one. Just one. The one that feels hardest to even imagine doing. That is the one you start with. Not the easiest, the hardest, because the hardest one is the one currently costing you the most. Do it consistently for 1 week. And 1 week from now, you will start to notice something. People will treat you differently. Not because you announced a change, because you stopped negotiating something you used to negotiate. If this landed, subscribe. Every week I release a long-form breakdown and daily shorts built for men navigating the second half of life. I just published a short going deeper on boundary 3, the one that changes your family dynamic fastest. Link below. I'll see you there.